You know those cookie-cutter suburbs where every lawn looks like it's been measured with a ruler and every house is painted the exact same shade of beige approved by committee? Welcome to Pinewood Estates. Population 1,247 souls trapped under the iron fist of one Karen who decided the American dream needed a permission slip and a $50 late fee. For 23 years, I'd lived here quietly. Same house my late wife Selena picked out tile by tile. Same old Ford F-150 with 200,000 miles that somehow survived every HOA citation. Same VFW cap I wore like armor. My name is Amory Davis. And for the last 8 years, my daughter-in-law, Karen Melora Davis, yes, the very same Karen who somehow got herself elected HOA president, had turned my golden years into a slow-motion nightmare of fines, whispers, and public humiliation. The first time she really showed her teeth was at the spring block party last March. The neighborhood had gathered in the cul-de-sac like it was a Norman Rockwell painting, kids chasing bubbles, dads flipping burgers on grills that had to be neutral tone only, moms comparing HOA violation notices like trading cards. I walked up wearing my cap, just back from placing fresh roses on Selena's memorial garden in my backyard. The one tiny patch of color Karen had been trying to find me out of existence for 2 years. "Oh, look," Karen announced loud enough for the entire cul-de-sac to hear, not even pretending to lower her voice. "Here comes our resident welfare case." Her little clique of perfectly coiffed ladies in pastel polos giggled right on cue. One of them, a blonde clutching a $2,000 designer bag that somehow passed the no flashy accessories rule, stage whispered, "I thought he was disabled." Karen leaned in like she was sharing state secrets. PTSD, supposedly. $2,350 a month for sitting around watching TV while the rest of us work real jobs and pay real dues. I set my coffee cup down on a folding table, said nothing, just turned and walked back toward my house at the end of the street, the same house Karen had tried to rezone as non-compliant eyesore after Selena passed. But I heard every word that followed. "Honestly," she continued, voice dripping that fake sweet syrup she saved for board meetings, "I don't even think he really served. Have you ever seen his medals? Because I've looked everywhere. And let me tell you, the VA records are classified." She made air quotes so hard her acrylic nails nearly flew off. The laughter that rippled through the crowd felt like sandpaper on an open wound. I kept walking. 2 months later, she escalated at the Memorial Day HOA barbecue. 150 residents crammed into the community pavilion. American flags flapping exactly 3 feet high because anything taller violated Section 4.2 of the covenants. Karen showed up uninvited to my corner of the event, dragging my son Tommy along like a reluctant prop. She cornered me by the flag display, clipboard in one hand, that poisonous smile locked in place. "Amory, darling, we need to talk about your situation." She gestured at the crowd like a game show hostess. "These good people think you're some kind of war hero. But I've done my research. Called the VA. Asked about your service record. You know what they told me?" She leaned in, voice dropping to a theatrical whisper. "Classified. Everything about your deployment is classified. You know what that usually means in real life." My hands tightened around my paper plate. Around us, neighbors laughed and swapped stories of kids and mortgages. Nobody heard her next line except Tommy, who flinched like he'd been slapped. "It means there's nothing to classify. It means you probably swept floors at some base in Germany while real soldiers did the fighting." Tommy opened his mouth, closed it again. Karen snapped, "Your mother was just protecting his feelings." Tommy, just like she protected him by putting the family property management contracts in both their names. Thank God that's about to change. She spent the next 3 hours making sure everyone knew her opinion. By the time the burgers were gone, I could feel the doubt creeping into familiar faces. Neighbors who used to wave now suddenly studied their shoes. Walking back to my truck, I heard her voice carry across the parking lot like a victory lap. It's honestly sad. A grown man living off sympathy and government handouts. Someone should really look into whether he's defrauding the system. Tommy said nothing. My own son said nothing while his wife called his father a fraud in front of the entire neighborhood. That night, I sat in the back room of my house. The same room I'd moved into after Selena died because Karen claimed the master bedroom made her uncomfortable during visits. I opened the closet, moved aside old work shirts, and pulled out the small wooden box I hadn't touched in 5 years. Inside, Bronze Star, Silver Star, and something else her research had never uncovered. The phone rang. Washington, D.C. Area code. Amory. It's Patricia Hayes. I think it's time. If I stayed quiet any longer, I'd lose everything that mattered. The financial damage had been staggering. Over 8 years, Karen had systematically drained accounts she thought I couldn't track. Power of attorney documents she'd sweet-talk Selena into signing during her final illness just to help with Amory's VA paperwork. $187,000 gone. My disability checks direct deposited to an account she controlled. $23.50 a month times 96 months equals $225,600. Money meant to help me manage service-related trauma. Money Karen called freeloading while she used it to fund her community improvement fund that somehow always ended up buying her a new BMW. But the money wasn't the worst part. The family property management contracts, 23 commercial accounts across 3 counties. Established 1987. The year Selena and I got married, were in jeopardy. Karen had been telling potential buyers I was mentally incompetent and planning to have me declared unfit. She'd found a slick lawyer who specialized in elder care issues. I'd overheard her telling Tommy last week, "Your father is clearly struggling, living in that outdated house." Talking to himself. The kindest thing we can do is take over his responsibilities for the good of the neighborhood. Those episodes she mocked were just memories of Desert Storm hitting hard, 20-year-old faces flashing behind my eyes. Kids who didn't make it home. Karen saw weakness. She didn't understand that some silences are forged in places most people couldn't pronounce. My own son was starting to believe her. "Dad, maybe she's right," Tommy had said 3 days ago over coffee that tasted like regret. "Maybe you need help managing things. The contracts, the house. It's a lot for someone your age. Someone my age. 67. Same age my father was when he built our first warehouse. But I was also the man who'd been hiding the truth about his service for 23 years. That silence was about to cost me everything. The HOA annual compliance hearing was scheduled for Friday afternoon, June 15th, at the community center. Mahogany tables. Leather chairs that cost $3,000 each. The kind of place where lives get divided up with the precision of a lawnmower. Karen had been planning this day for months. I'd seen her browsing luxury listings on her phone during board meetings. Once we settle Amory's affairs, she'd told her sister on a call I'd accidentally overheard. We can finally live like normal people. No more pretending to care about some old man's war stories. The irony was crushing. Karen was convinced I was hiding poverty and mental illness. The truth was the opposite. Those property management contracts weren't some small operation. They were a multi-million-dollar enterprise. 23 rigs, each worth $200,000. Long-term deals with major retailers. Real estate holdings that gave me controlling interest in half the commercial land feeding Pinewood Estates. But here's what Karen didn't know. Selena's estate documents didn't leave everything to Tommy like she assumed. They left everything to me with one condition. If I was deemed mentally incompetent within 2 years of her death, control would transfer immediately. Karen's plan made perfect sense. Get me declared unfit. Let Tommy inherit, then control Tommy. Except Selena had built in a safeguard requiring unanimous agreement from 3 trustees. Trustee 1, me. Trustee 2, Tommy. Trustee 3. Someone Karen had never heard of, Senator Patricia Hayes. Former Lieutenant Hayes. 82nd Airborne. The woman who'd called me 3 nights ago. Amory, I've been watching the situation. My staff monitors any inquiries about classified service records. Someone's been digging. If this goes public, those records will have to be unsealed. Are you ready? I've been quiet for a long moment. 23 years of silence. Maybe it's time. Friday afternoon. The community center smelled of expensive cologne and desperation. Karen walked in like she owned the zip code, designer dress. $400 heels. That smile she wore when she thought she was winning. Tommy followed, looking uncomfortable but saying nothing. I sat at the far end in old jeans and work boots. Attorney Harrison cleared his throat. Before we begin the formal proceedings, I understand there are concerns about Mr. Davis's mental capacity. That's right, Karen interrupted, sliding a manila folder across the table like it was a winning lottery ticket. Documentation of cognitive decline, financial irresponsibility, inability to maintain basic living standards. Photos of that truck. Bank statements. A letter from my doctor suggesting professional evaluation. She leaned forward, voice rising with righteous fury. Furthermore, Mr. Davis has been making false claims about his military service. I've attempted to verify his records, but the VA claims everything is classified. Air quotes again. We all know what that means. Tommy shifted. Wouldn't meet my eyes. What does it mean? Karen, I asked quietly. It means there's nothing to classify. It means you've been living a lie for 23 years. It means my husband deserves better than a father who built his entire identity on stolen valor. The words hung in the air like a guillotine. Attorney Harrison looked uncomfortable. Karen snapped. This man has been defrauding the government, embarrassing our community, and now he thinks he can control the neighborhood contracts. It's time someone called him what he is. A fake. I reached into my jacket pocket, pulled out a single piece of paper. What's that? She demanded. Phone number, I said. Pentagon verification hotline. You want to check my service record? Let's check it. Right now. She blinked. Right now. I dialed. Put the phone on speaker. Pentagon personnel verification. Sergeant Martinez answered. I gave my service number. Authorized full disclosure to everyone present. Silence on the other end. Then confirmation of my deployment dates. 82nd Airborne. Classified reconnaissance behind enemy lines. February 23rd, 1991. Karen was leaning forward, smirk fading fast. Then the words that changed everything. Medal of Honor awarded for single-handed rescue of 12 captured coalition soldiers under heavy enemy fire. The room went completely silent. Karen's face had gone white. That's impossible. Sergeant Martinez continued calmly. Mr. Davis's actions saved 12 lives at extreme personal risk. The mission was classified for 23 years due to ongoing intelligence concerns. As of yesterday, those restrictions have been lifted. I hung up. Karen was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. But you live in that house. You drive that old truck. You collect disability. The house keeps me close to the contracts I still control, I said calmly. The truck gets good mileage. And the disability isn't for poverty. Karen, it's for the shrapnel in my spine and the nightmares that come with watching good men die. Tommy spoke for the first time. Dad, why didn't you ever tell me? Your mother knew. She asked me to keep it quiet. Said she didn't marry a hero. She married a man. Said the medals were just metal compared to the person I was every day after. Karen was shaking her head, voice cracking. No, this doesn't change anything. You're still not capable of running the contracts, living the way you do, the way you act. I pulled out another paper. Pinewood Estates Property Management Annual Revenue, $4.1 million. Net worth approximately $6.8 million when you include real estate holdings. I own 60% controlling interest. Your husband owns 40%. Selena left him her 20%, but she left me her 60% plus her personal assets. Attorney Harrison nodded slowly. Mr. Davis is correct. The deceased made it very clear. But the power of attorney, Karen started, was revoked, I said, sliding another document across the table. 3 days before Selena died, when she found out about the missing money, Karen's designer handbag slipped from her lap. Missing money, $187,000. Unauthorized transfers from accounts you thought I couldn't access. Selena kept better records than you realized. Tommy was staring at his wife. Karen? What is he talking about? I was helping with his finances. He's not capable. I'm very capable, I said. Capable enough to document every fraudulent transaction. Capable enough to contact the FBI Financial Crimes Unit. Capable enough to have you arrested. Karen stood so fast her chair fell backward. You can't prove anything. I smiled for the first time in months. Karen, I spent 6 months behind enemy lines gathering intelligence. You think I can't prove you stole money from a disabled veteran? The hearing ended with Karen storming out and Tommy sitting in stunned silence. But I wasn't done. Over the next 3 days, I made careful phone calls. Karen thought she'd been researching me. Time to show her what real research looked like. Monday morning, I visited the community center, not the usual coffee and complaints routine. This was business. I explained the situation to the board vice president, a Vietnam vet who'd always stayed quiet. His face darkened. False accusations about service? That's serious. Tuesday, I drove to the property yard where I ran the contract from a modest office. My secretary Janet had been fielding strange calls from Karen asking about my erratic decisions. I pulled out a manila envelope full of documents I'd been preparing for months. Janet, make copies. Call Senator Hayes' office. Tell them we're ready. Wednesday brought 2 men in dark suits. FBI. Mr. Davis. We're following up on a complaint regarding financial irregularities. We talked for 2 hours. The evidence was compelling. Elder financial abuse. Clear case. Thursday morning, Karen showed up at my house unannounced. Stormed through the door. We need to talk about your little performance at the hearing. You think some phone calls scare me? I know people. Important people. I leaned back, opened my desk drawer, pulled out a business card. FBI Financial Crimes Division. Funny thing, Karen, they seemed very interested in your research. Her face went pale. You called the FBI? I didn't have to. Turns out when you steal from a disabled veteran and embezzle HOA dues, they notice. She backed toward the door. This isn't over. Actually, I said, it is. See you at the Memorial Day community ceremony Saturday. Should be educational. Memorial Day weekend. The community pavilion was decorated with flags and flowers. 150 residents, family members, even a local news crew who'd gotten wind something big was planned. I sat in the front row wearing my dress uniform for the first time in 20 years. It still fit. Karen arrived with Tommy, scanning the crowd like she was looking for allies. Dressed in respectful black with an American flag pin, the perfect grieving HOA president performance. She had no idea. The HOA board president took the podium. This year we have a special guest, Senator Patricia Hayes. The crowd stirred. Patricia approached with military bearing. I came to tell you about a man I served with 23 years ago. A man who saved my life and the lives of 11 other soldiers. The pavilion went quiet. His name is Amory Davis. And until yesterday his actions were classified. Every eye turned to me. Karen froze. Patricia continued, voice carrying to every corner. February 23rd, 1991. 12 of us captured behind enemy lines. Staff Sergeant Davis volunteered for a suicide mission. He came alone, eliminated 37 enemy combatants, destroyed their communications, carried 3 wounded soldiers to safety under heavy fire. The applause started slow, then built like thunder. People stood, cheering. But I was watching Karen. Her face had gone green. Senator Hayes wasn't finished. For 23 years, Master Sergeant Davis never mentioned his Medal of Honor, never used it for gain, until this week when someone close to his family accused him of stolen valor. Murmurs of anger rippled through the crowd. Karen shrank into her chair. Ladies and gentlemen, I've come to set the record straight and to ask Staff Sergeant Davis to join me. I walked to the podium. My voice cracked at first. I never wanted this attention. Selena asked me to keep it quiet. But sometimes you have to speak up when someone attacks your honor, your family's honor, your community's honor. I looked directly at Karen. A few days ago, someone called me a fake veteran, said I was defrauding the government, said I was living a lie. Karen stood abruptly. I think we should go, she whispered to Tommy. But Tommy wasn't moving. Tears in his eyes. Dad, I'm so sorry. I should have defended you. The board president's voice cut through. Ma'am, before you leave, everyone here would like to know who made these accusations against our Medal of Honor recipient. The crowd turned. 150 pairs of eyes on Karen. Her face burned red. I was misinformed. I made a mistake. What kind of mistake? Someone called. The kind where you steal money from a disabled veteran, I said quietly. The microphone carried it everywhere. Gasps. Angry voices. I pulled out the manila folder. FBI financial crimes investigation opened 3 days ago. 187,000 stolen over 8 years. Karen was pushing through the crowd toward the exit, but the news crew was waiting. Ma'am, comment on allegations of financial elder abuse and HOA embezzlement against a Medal of Honor recipient. She shoved past them, practically running. Tommy stayed, took the microphone. I want everyone to know my father is the best man I've ever known, and I'm ashamed I let anyone convince me otherwise. The applause lasted 5 full minutes. Then the FBI agents walked in. We're looking for Mrs. Karen Davis. The board president pointed toward the parking lot. She left a few minutes ago. Mr. Davis, the evidence you provided has been verified. Federal charges will be filed Monday. Wire fraud, identity theft, elder abuse, conspiracy. She's looking at 15 to 20 years. The crowd buzzed. There was more. Karen had been corresponding with online groups dedicated to exposing fake veterans, feeding them my address. Financial details. The agents recommended increased security. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number, saw the news. You destroyed my life. This isn't over. I showed the agents. They moved quickly. The next hour was surreal. FBI coordinating with local police. News crews outside. My phone ringing nonstop. Monday morning at the FBI field office. Fluorescent lights and terrible coffee. Agent Sullivan laid out the evidence. Bank records. Forged signatures. Security footage of Karen at the branch withdrawing my money. This wasn't desperation. This was calculated long-term financial abuse. Plus, she attempted to destroy a Medal of Honor recipient's reputation. She's looking at serious time. Tommy called. Dad, I just saw the news. Federal charges. I filed for divorce this morning. I'm moving back home. I have a lot to make up for. That afternoon at the property yard, my employees applauded when I walked in. We always knew you were special. Mr. Davis. The story exploded nationally. CNN, Fox, Washington Post, all wanted interviews. The most important call came from the Veterans Legal Aid Society. Your case has triggered over 200 calls from veterans reporting similar abuse by family or HOA boards. Would you testify before Congress? I did. The Veterans Elder Protection Act passed with new funding for legal aid and bank reporting requirements. The VFW created the Amory Davis Veteran Protection Fund. 5,000 veterans helped in the first year alone. 6 months later, Karen pleaded guilty, 12 years in federal prison. Full restitution. Lifetime ban from handling anyone's finances or serving on any board. Tommy took over day-to-day operations of the contracts. We added 6 new accounts and started a veterans hiring program. One evening, Tommy asked, "Dad, do you ever regret keeping quiet about your service for so long?" "No regrets. Everything happened when it was supposed to. Your mother was right. I needed to be a man first, a hero second. But when someone threatens your family, your honor, your community, silence becomes a luxury you can't afford." That night, another young veteran called. His HOA board was harassing him over disability benefits. "Sir, I don't know what to do." "Son, you do the same thing I did. You stand up. You fight back. You remember that your service matters. And nobody, not even family, not even an HOA Karen, has the right to take that from you." If you're watching this and you've ever felt powerless against someone who should have protected you instead of exploiting you, remember, silence isn't strength. Standing up isn't selfish. And sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the quiet one everyone underestimated. Thanks for listening. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and if this HOA Karen story helped you find the courage to speak up.